Okay, here we are, just past 3 o'clock, but we are glad to be with you. Welcome to the program, Fred Wade. Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. My name is. Thanks very much for joining us. I know it was that the Express game. We all love the Express and enjoy hearing Rylan Cobre describe the action. But even Rylan, I'm sure, didn't have an awful lot of fun today. It was a 15-1 win for the Oklahoma City Comets in winning that game. But they'll be back at it tomorrow night. That's the great thing about Major League Baseball or minor league baseball, full season baseball, is you have another day. You can come right back the next day in most cases, except on Monday. They don't play on Mondays in the Pacific Coast League. But we're here Mondays through Friday, and glad to have you with us this afternoon. We, of course, includes the producer, Cameron D. Parker. The D on the birth certificate stands for Dallas, although we've uncovered other meanings and things due to some ambiguity voiced by his relatives of late. But we'll go with D. And how's your day been going, by the way?
It's been good, Craig. Hopefully OKC, the basketball team, the Thunder, follows suit from their minor league baseball team and have the same result against Indiana tomorrow night in Indiana, like the Comets had today against the Round Rock Express. So we'll see. I feel like the schedule needs to be changed here because I feel like 2 days in between games is such a long time.
Remember when it used to be like 3? There'd be a Sunday game, and then you didn't have it till Thursday.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it would drive people nuts. As opposed to the Stanley Cup in the Stanley Cup Finals, by the way, which wrapped up last night with the Florida Panthers making it back-to-back Stanley Cups. This year in the Stanley Cup Finals, and I think it had something to do with the split between the networks during the playoffs of Eastern and Western Conference and then TNT having only having exclusively the Stanley Cup Finals. They had more time, an extra day or two here. Normally it's every other night. But that's not how it was the last 3 games in the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. But Florida Panthers make it back-to-back. By the way, for those of you who are interested in such trivial things, it is the first time in 48 years or 47 years, first time in 47 years that the same 2 teams met in back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals. And it was the Montreal Canadiens who won both of those back-to-back, beating the Boston Bruins in both of those cases. But anyway, so they did that. But yeah, it used to be 3 days. It's actually like a little less compacted or elongated in the NBA. But Game 6 of that series will be tomorrow night in Indiana. We're going to talk about that. Also, we'll keep you updated on the College World Series. It looks like the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina are going to be playing for the national championship. They're up 8-0 on Louisville.
Man.
In the bottom of the 5th. I think Louisville finally running out of pitching because they've been playing elimination games since Sunday. And I think they're finally running out of pitching. And
did Forbes pitch today or did he pitch yesterday? I don't remember.
It might have been yesterday. But I'm not 100% certain of that. But anyway, Coastal Carolina's up 8-0. It's in the bottom of the
did not pitch. He has not pitched today. So
okay. Well, it's a little late now to close the gate with the horse out out of the corral. Coastal's up 8-0, so it looks like Chanticleers will be playing for the national championship tonight. LSU can clinch the other spot if they defeat Arkansas, which won again, another shutout. And they were listing the teams, and since they went to the super regional format starting in 1999, all the teams that pitched back-to-back shutouts in the College World Series. And it happened like 5 times, I think. And one of the times was Texas in 2014. I remember they won a 1-0 game over UC Irvine in an elimination game on a home run by C.J. Hinojosa, line drive homer, and won 1-0. Then they came back the next day, played Louisville, and Parker French shut them out. So they did that. They ended up losing in the semifinals They beat Vanderbilt the next day, but they were going to have to beat them twice, and they ended up losing in 10 innings on a slow-rolling ground ball. They got the winning run home in the bottom of the 10th for the Commodores in that one. All right, so we'll keep you updated on that. We've got some NBA, got some NFL notes, and some college sports notes to get to as well. Glad to have you with us on a Wednesday afternoon on 13 Under the Zone.
iHeart is America's #1 podcast network. Open the free iHeart app and explore podcasts like this.
1971. It was a simpler time, a groovy time. Soul Train had just started chugging along. Everyone had a lava lamp for some reason. Weeble started to wobble, but as we all know, they don't fall down.
It's really something.
But it wasn't all Weebles and bell-bottoms. There was also the Vietnam War and a growing nationwide movement protesting it.
Look behind you. See the thousands marching today.
Across the country, people were speaking up, and the more they did, the more they learned about the hidden underbelly of the most powerful law enforcement agency in the land. I'm Ed Helms, host of Snafu, Season 2, Medberg, the story of a daring heist that exposed J. Edgar Hoover's epic FBI snafu. Hear the incredible true story that almost got buried.
I was told that it might not be published the next day or might not be published ever.
As told by the ordinary citizens who took extraordinary measures.
Getting caught was virtually inevitable.
To expose J. Edgar Hoover's secret FBI.
Many of the techniques were clearly illegal, but justified in the interest of national security.
If it meant some risks that were involved, well, that's what citizens sometimes have to do.
Listen on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and listen now.
I'm Gary Veter, and I have a new limited series podcast called #1 Dad. In the 90s, my dad and I ran a con for years where we snuck into the world's most prestigious arena, New York's Madison Square Garden.
Your dad is the type of person that likes an adventure and likes the possibility of opportunity.
As I got older, I learned this wasn't the only scheme my dad was pulling.
He wants me to act like my injury is even worse for a payout.
He actually represented me. He's posing as my attorney in a court.
There were moments where Manny would assume the role of undercover police officer.
My father's never-ending string of lies ultimately broke apart my family. And at 15 years old, I completely cut him out of my life. That was 24 years ago. But I just had a son of my own, and it brought back tons of memories of my childhood, along with tons of questions I wanted answered. How did my father become this scheming mastermind? Was he like this with everyone? And is it possible, after all these years, he's actually changed? I have no idea where he lives or what he's up to, but my goal with this podcast is to track him down and get to the truth about who my father, Manny Veter, really is. This is #1 Dad. Listen to #1 Dad.
Listen on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and listen now.
iHeartRadio Did You Know? Presented by iHeartRadio. You know, what you're listening to right now. Did you know that iHeartRadio not only lets you listen to all your favorite AM/FM stations locally and nationwide for free, but iHeartRadio lets you build your very own radio station that plays nothing but the music you love. It's called Favorites Radio, and it's a collection of every song you've ever thumbed up. Hear a song you love on live radio, thumb it up, and it's added to your favorites radio station. Hear a song while listening to artist radio or a playlist, thumb it up, and we add it into your favorites radio station too. That's all you have to do to create your very own personalized station. It's easy, and the best part, Favorites Radio is free. Create your own private station or share it with friends to show off your great music taste. It's entirely up to you. All you do is thumb up the music you like, and we'll do the rest. Look for your own favorites radio station featured in your library in the free iHeartRadio app. iHeartRadio, #1 for music, radio, and podcasting, all in one app.
iHeartRadio. Sports Radio 1300 The Zone. Our blood runs orange. It's the Craig Way Show with the voice of the Texas Longhorns and Hall of Fame broadcaster, Craig Way.
It's a Yacht Rock Wednesday, Yacht Rock Wednesday. It's a little Kenny Burke for you there. Rising to the top here on a Yacht Rock Wednesday. I have a feeling Cameron Parker's never heard of Kenny Burke before.
Nope.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Nope.
Probably not your dad either, who made it very clear that he does not like Yacht Rock.
If he has, he doesn't like him. I'll tell you that.
Okay. That's a good way to put it.
Oh no, he likes George Benson. So
okay, all right, that's good. That's good because George, one of the staples of the Yacht Rock era for sure. Okay, I said we would have some basketball notes. How much of the coverage? Because I'm sure you probably weren't watching the game live, but how much of the coverage, the highlights, and did you see from last night's Indiana Connecticut WNBA game?
I admittedly I'm not into the WNBA
Right.
like I am women's college basketball. There's a lot of sports happening, so it's kind of like
There's a lot of sports happening.
I divert my attention to a handful, and then there's some that I'll keep in the back of my head of you'll follow along from notifications and stuff.
Right.
Most of my WNBA following will come from notifications or on Twitter if something's happening with Caitlin Clark, which appeared to have happened last night. I did not watch the game live. I did not watch too much. The only thing I saw was that no suspensions came down, but please give me the rundown, Craig.
Well, no suspensions will come down. You're right. It was a pair really kind of scuffles, including one that happened in the final minute of the game and 3 players got ejected. So it started in the third quarter. You remember J.C. Sheldon? She played at Ohio State. She played on the Ohio State team that lost to Texas in the Sweet 16 in Spokane back in 2022, I guess it was. I was up there to call that. And she was their outstanding player for Ohio State. J.C. Sheldon was. And Texas beat them and eliminated them. But anyway, so she plays for Connecticut. And she's guarding Caitlin Clark. And Clark is kind of trying to work her way around the corner, and Sheldon kind of comes up to on her, 2-tight bumps her, and actually poked her in the eye. So then she kind of recoils, does Clark, and then she pushed Sheldon away. And then after that, Marina Mabry comes in and shoves her down to the floor. All right, so Clark, Mabry, and Tina Charles, who got into the fray as well, all got technical fouls. Sheldon got a flagrant one. Ashley Gloss, the official, said in the pool report after the game that the contact made by Mabry did not rise to the level of ejection or meet the criteria for flagrant 2. I agree with that. When you see it, you just kind of shoves her, but it's not. All right, so then it goes on. And then toward the end of the game, Sophie Cunningham, who played for Missouri, in fact, played in the NCAA tournament games down there when Karen Aston was coaching in Texas, beat Mizzou. Sophie Cunningham was an outstanding player for Missouri. And she committed a hard foul on Sheldon. Sheldon came down the floor. It was under a minute to go in the game. And clearly, Sophie Cunningham was having her teammates back.
Mm-hmm.
She was defending Caitlin Clark, and she takes down Sheldon pretty hard with 46 seconds. I mean, she wraps both arms around, so that's usually going to be a flagrant 2 anyway, and then kind of takes her down there. And then all of a sudden, it goes into it. There was also an earlier technical foul when Marina Mabry forcibly knocked Caitlin Clark to the floor earlier. And now that's been upgraded to a flagrant 2. So anyway, they all got in each other's faces and had to be separated and all this other kind of stuff. So here's how it all came down. Sophie Cunningham, who was handed a flagrant 2, immediately disqualified. That was with 46 seconds left in the game. Also was fined. Don't hear that often happen in a WNBA, unless you're Angel Reese. But she was fined in addition to the standard fine that comes with earning a flagrant 2. Marina Mabry, the Connecticut guard, who had the technical foul knocking Caitlin Clark to the floor, also had it upgraded to a flagrant 2. Clark, Mabry, and Charles all had gotten technical fouls on that, and Sheldon the flagrant 1. So then after the game, both the Fever and the Suns personnel were critical of the officiating for allowing the game to kind of get out of hand, the tensions. Indiana coach Stephanie White said everybody in the league is getting better except the officials. It's going to earn her a fine. She said, I started talking to the officials in the first quarter. We knew this was going to happen. You could tell it was going to happen. So they got to get control of it. They got to be better. White has not been fined for her comments, according to the league. So the Suns, the Connecticut Sun turned around. They're playing tonight against Phoenix, and the Fever will play tomorrow night at Golden State playing the Valkyries. So anyway, yeah, it got kind of Sheldon and Lindsay Allen, her teammate, were deemed escalators in the incident on that breakaway layup thing. So yeah, it got pretty spicy last night, if you were seeing that. So
watching the replay now, how much of this do you think is amplified because it's Caitlin Clark?
Oh, this has been talked about for some time, especially whenever Caitlin Clark, let's see, who does Angel Reese play for? The Sky plays for Chicago, I think. So whenever Indiana plays
you
Chicago,
could have made up a team, and
I could have said she plays.
See the Womp Rats.
I could have said the Michigan Maidens or something, and you would have been good with that. Okay.
Well, it's interesting, Craig, because when there's always a basketball discourse, and maybe it stems a lot from Twitter and Shaq and Kenny and Chuck always defending their era, but it's almost like the Bad Boy Pistons, that era is kind of romanticized because like, oh, you're going to come down the lane, we're going to beat you up. But then
because Bill Laimbeer was just a goon. He was always looking to mix it up. And Rodman, of course, would never back down from anything.
Yeah.
Who was the other guy? Rick Mahorn was the guy who would mix it up with you. He didn't care.
Who was the Lakers guy that
Kurt
Rambis.
Kurt Rambis. Yep.
And it wasn't like every game where people were getting it. It wasn't like WWE, but it feels like that's kind of romanticized. But yet on the other side, this happens and it's like this is catastrophic to the game of basketball. This needs to stop. So is it? Where are we at here? There seems to be a fine line that no one can seem to navigate.
Yeah, and some of this has to go back to officiating and how they may have to, I don't know, have an upgrading of training on dealing with that, especially in the WNBA, because they don't usually deal with a lot of that. So you have to now. All right, we've got more coming up. We'll continue on 13 Under the Zone.
iHeartRadio brings you New to View, Streaming Edition.
Looking for something to watch? Listen up. Next week on Netflix, Monday, the launch of the documentary film I'm Your Venus. Next Tuesday, the debut of the Netflix stand-up special, Steph Tolive, Filth Queen. Next Wednesday, season 2 of the Netflix reality show, The Ultimatum Queer Love. Next Friday on Netflix, the premiere of Part 3 of Pokemon Horizons, The Search for Laqua, as well as the much-anticipated final season of Squid Game. Next Monday on Hulu, the debut of the documentary film Barbara Walters, Tell Me Everything. Next Tuesday on Hulu, the I Kissed a Boy reunion special. Next Tuesday on Disney Plus, the premiere of the new Marvel series Ironheart. Next Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on FX on Hulu, the launch of all episodes Season 4 of The Bear. Next Friday on Apple TV Plus, the debut of the new drama Smoke, starring Taron Egerton. Next Monday on Amazon Prime Video, the premiere of the cooking makeover series Giada in My Kitchen. Next Wednesday on Amazon Prime Video, the launch of the new action crime drama Countdown. Next Thursday on AMC Plus and Sundance Now, the debut of the docuseries Butchers of LA. And next Sunday on AMC Plus, the premiere of the first 2 episodes of the new fantasy series Nautilus, inspired by Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
And that's new to view on iHeartRadio. Happy binging!
This whole surviving life thing is pretty tough. Some people use therapy to get through it, others use their friends, and some just fight their way through. Whatever season of life you're in right now, this podcast is for you. Hi, I'm Morgan from The Bobby Bones Show and host of the new podcast, Take This Personally. I'm bringing on my friends and experts to cover a variety of topics in hopes of us all feeling a little less alone in this crazy world. Nicole, the neuroscientist, will help us understand why we are the way we are.
Our anxious brain or our emotional brain will make us believe things that are not necessarily true.
Jared can relate to fighting our hardest battles.
I was living on couches. Sometimes I was in my car. I was just all over the place. I think about it now, how many people opened their doors to me.
We will explore what it means to change careers.
I think a lot of people put the pressure on their career to fulfill their passion, when your purpose or your passion and your calling can be something that's much deeper than just your job.
And how we can all find that special love in this wild dating era.
In order to find the right one, before you do that, you have to be able to identify the wrong one.
This podcast will be the guide you need to surviving life with a friend at your side.
If a friendship is about give and take, but we just want to give, and we're like, oh, I don't want to take, I don't want to impose, I don't want to inconvenience her, then you're not reaping the full benefits of friendship.
The first episode is out now. Download it wherever you get your podcast.
Listen on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and listen now.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
The game appeared on a paranormal message board with very simple rules. Get in your car and take a drive. Take a left, then the next possible road on the right, then the next possible left. Repeat process ad infinitum.
There's a hitchhiker on the road. Now you pick him up, you take him where he needs to go, but you do not, under any circumstance, do not talk to him. Ever. I ain't asking you to believe me, but I told you. This street, this is your last chance.
As ridiculous as it might sound, I think my friend may have documented her own disappearance. If you know anyone involved in this story, any of the locations mentioned, anything I can use to get in touch with Alice, please don't hesitate to contact me. Were you in the area on February the 7th of this year? Did you meet or speak with a girl called Alice Sharman? Has anyone heard of the left-right game?
The Left-Right Game is a new audio drama from Q-Code.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
If it's Texas sports, Craig Way knows all. Back to the Craig Way Show on 1300 The Zone. Welcome back to the Craig Way Show and the voice of the Longhorns, Craig Way. Follow Craig on social media at Horn Voice.
Everybody's high on consolation. Everybody's trying to tell me what.
Now, your dad said he did like this, right?
I think he hates Hall notes.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I thought he liked this song. I thought he liked She's Gone.
I think so. You know, actually, one of my high school friends went to high school with Hall & Oates.
Which one? Daryl Hall or John Oates?
Both.
Really? Okay.
So they're weird people. They're weird.
Well, and supposedly the word is that this is one of those unamicable partings, those two. And somebody asked John Oates pretty recently in an interview, could you foresee maybe getting back with Daryl and doing a tour and recording again? He said, never say never, but never. Wasn't that the Mike Tomlin thing? Or is
I think
it
so.
Yeah, never say never, but never.
Well, I think from my understanding of this band, that kind of all the work was done by Oates, right?
Yeah.
He was a songwriter.
Yeah.
And, is he the singer too?
Both of them.
Yeah.
Both of them.
So,
But Daryl Hall was, lead vocals.
but I know Daryl Hall, he's all open for a reunion, but
yeah, John Oates wants no part of it, apparently.
That's sad.
Yeah. So anyway, but they are part of the Yacht Rock catalog there as we continue on this Wednesday afternoon. Okay. You had mentioned that you're hoping as an Oklahoma City Thunder fan.
Actually, update here. Some of their stuff is all right. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. That particular track is my favorite one. That one's really good. I don't know that I'm really big into.
Did they do this song, She's a Rich Girl?
Yeah, Rich Girl. They did Rich Girl. I don't know that I'm that much into Kiss on my list, or even I Can't Go for That. That's probably not one I'm that
I like
fond of.
I like Man Eater.
Okay. All right.
You don't like Man Eater?
It's okay. It's okay. It's true pop. I mean, like this song was less pop and more just kind of.
Is Man Eater really pop?
Oh God. Are you kidding me? 83, I believe it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's pop. You got like the
So you're playing this. Come on out, ladies. On Wednesday night is ladies' night here at the club where all drinks are half off here. Go on out there. Yeah.
1982.
Yeah. It's a dance tune. And it's synthesized and yeah. So it's
I think I like the saxophone part of it.
Okay.
But yeah, it does. It's very pop.
But then you kind of lose the saxophone part when it gets into the vocals right here. Synthesized stuff here. And then it gets into he's got one more bridged part here. And this is Daryl Hall. Billy Joel once said there was a song he had written that he envisioned Daryl Hall being able to sing. He said he had a better vote that was good for it. So here's your chorus right here that you like so much. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So was this after all of their stuff that you liked? Did they go from rock and roll?
Yeah,
and
kind of right. And I worked Hall & Oates concert, a couple of Hall & Oates concerts in my concert vending days, selling T-shirts. And in fact, I did one at Reunion Arena in Dallas. The lead-in was Scandal. And I was just playing it. I was talking to Linda about this the other night. She goes, I never heard of it. I said, oh, a couple of their hits. Patti Smythe and Scandal. Patti Smythe, who married John McEnroe. Goodbye to You. That was one of them. Anyway, so yeah.
There's a Reddit thread.
Yeah.
Did Man Eater by Hall & Oates scare you guys too? The song was constantly played on the radio, maybe into the early 90s, and as a little kid who didn't understand sexual innuendo or elaborate sociological metaphors, I never felt comfortable with it. It probably didn't help that it was my first hearing involved the TV trailer for some horror movie or any other. Someone commented, no, but Michael Jackson's Thriller would scare me. Vincent Price laughing creepily at the end wasn't my favorite thing to listen to at night.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point there.
I don't know if that song is ever.
If I remember the music video
For Hall & Oates? Or?
Yeah, I mean they're singing, but it seems like I remember they had like a shark swimming through the water or something.
Find it.
There was that as well. I'll tell you what, I'll let you look for that. We need a break as we're still kind of catching up following the Express game. The Express loses this afternoon 15-1, but we'll continue on 13 Under the Zone.
Wake up with Harge and Henry in the morning kickoff.
Did you ever hear the story of Alice Cooper biting the head off the bat?
That would be Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, was that Ozzy?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Maybe that's why I keep that radio voice like that.
You might want to keep doing that one, Blair.
Weekdays at 7 on 1300 The Zone.
iHeart is America's #1 podcast network. Open the free iHeart app and explore podcasts like this.
A quiet residential neighborhood erupts in chaos. Carmine Galante, the feared boss of the Bonanno crime family, lies dead, his cigar still clutched between his teeth.
Masked men walked into Joe and Mary's luncheonette in Brooklyn today and gunned down Carmine Galante, a man believed to be the most powerful mafia chieftain in the country.
The execution sent shockwaves through the criminal underworld and set the stage for one of the most pivotal criminal cases in New York City history. From the minds behind the acclaimed television series comes Law and Order: Criminal Justice System. This isn't a scripted drama. These are real stories told by the people who have lived them.
My father should have been a dead man.
For decades, the mafia had New York City in a stranglehold, with law enforcement seemingly powerless to intervene. But the murder of Carmine Galante marked the beginning of the end. Discover how a group of young prosecutors took on the mafia, and with the help of law enforcement, brought down its most powerful figures. I'm Anna-Siga Nicolazzi, and from Wolf Entertainment and iHeart Podcasts, this is Law and Order: Criminal Justice System.
Listen on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and listen now.
Hey there, I'm Jason Alexander, and this is my dear friend, Peter Tilden.
Hey, Jay. By the way, the script says best friend.
Yes, it does, Peter. Anyway, Peter and I met over 25 years ago and became really good friends.
Best friends.
Because we had two things in common. Number one, we like to argue about everything: driving, food, music.
No, we don't. And number two, when things annoy us or they perplex us or just don't seem to make any sense, whether it's something in the news or in our personal lives, we go, really, no, really.
And then we have to find answers.
So we created a podcast called Really, No, Really. It's about finding the answers to all the things that make us go, really, no, really. Jerry Seinfeld wondered why they refused to make the stall door go all the way to the floor in a public bathroom, but he didn't get an answer. We did, by reaching out to an expert.
And talking dogs. Really? No, really? We spoke to the pet parent of a dog who's become a social media star to find out if pressing buttons on a soundboard with a paw or a nose is truly communicating, or are they just showing off?
Competitive eaters, they don't chew during competitions. How about that?
Really? No, really?
That's what we heard. So we spoke to some of the biggest champions of the hot dog eats hot dog world of competitive eating to get the answer. And those are just a few of the things we'll explore on the Really No Really podcast with Jason Alexander and Peter Tilden.
Listen on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and listen now.
iHeart is America's #1 podcast network. Open the free iHeart app and explore podcasts like this.
In 1982, Atari players across the country settled into their shag carpeting. Homework went by the wayside, and so did sleep. These gamers only had one thing on their minds: Sword Quest. This wasn't just a new game. Epic and ambitious, the company promised $150,000 in prizes to 4 finalists, with the Sword of Ultimate Sorcery going to the grand prize winner.
Just got this, $3.35 an hour minimum wage job, and next thing you know, I got this freaking $25,000 prize.
But what started as a video game promotion would become one of the most controversial moments in 80s pop culture, with broken promises, urban myths, payoffs, and a central mystery that's consumed fans for decades.
I never ended up seeing these prizes in person.
How did all those prizes, valued at $150,000, become something of a lost treasure? I'm Jamie Loftus. Join us for The Legend of Sword Quest, a podcast about the fall of Atari and the disappearing Sword Quest prizes. We'll follow the quest for missing treasure across 4 decades. Listen to The Legend of Sword Quest on the iHeartRadio app.
It's the Morning Kickoff Show with Mike Hardball Harge and Mark Henry. Weekdays from 7 to 9 a.m. Only on Sports Radio, AM 1300, The Zone.
Sometimes late when things are real and people share the gift of gab between themselves. Some are quick to take the bait and catch the perfect prize that waits among the shelves. But Oz never did give nothing to the Tin Man that he didn't already have. And cause never was the reason for the evening or the Tropic of Sir Galahad.
On the Yacht Rock Wednesday, nothing like America to be able to fit the bill on that. They were great in concert last August. Saw them there at Moody ACL Theater, and they're still out touring. They're still doing that. And I know. I had listed them 3 years ago on my music survey as being the guilty pleasure band, which I'm guilty of doing that. I shouldn't have done it because a lot of people say, "What do you mean guilty pleasure?" They're Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, and they're right. You're exactly right. They will be on my list when we get to my music survey later this month or next month, but later this summer. But they won't be under guilty pleasure. I can tell you that. Speaking of the music survey, it's one day earlier this week. It's tomorrow instead of Friday. Normally we'll do it on Fridays throughout the summer. It'll be tomorrow because we have Mike Hardball Harge coming in to do it. And Mike has to go out of town on Friday. So Hardball will be here tomorrow, Harge, to do the music survey. He did it 3 years ago, but he said he revamped his. I think we all did. Even Cameron did his. Revamped it and changed it and updated it and that sort of thing. And I'm sure mine will be too once I dive into it. But anyway, Mike Hardball Harge takes the music survey tomorrow afternoon during the 3 o'clock hour. So we look forward. Did you find that Hall & Oates video you were talking about for Maneater?
I did. I didn't see any sharks in it, but honestly, it was so 80s. I was like, this hurts to watch my eyes. This is tough.
The 80s weren't that bad a decade.
It looks pretty bad to me.
Listen, I had some of the best years of my life in the early 80s and then in the mid 80s, and really got working in the profession in the 80s. And first of my kids were born in the 80s. And so, yeah, I don't know. It was there's a lot that was good about it. On the text line, we had a couple of Carrie liked Sarah Smile, says, yeah, that's a good one there. So that might be one your dad likes from Hall & Oates. You might like Sarah Smile. He might like She's Gone, that some of the earlier stuff, knowing your dad's exhibited taste in a little more of a rock set and less of a pop set. And somebody else said, yeah, I saw America at the old Backyard venue many years ago. They were just as good as the 8-track, the old 8-track tapes there. And so I had said, I predict that Harge will pick either Cult of Personality or Sade for 7 of the 12 answers. Listen, he likes all of that, but even Harge knows the rules. You can only list one band or artist member per category and only one time. So he can't pick Sade 7 times or 5 times or 3 times or even 2 times. You only do it one time, which makes it really difficult if you were a fan like I was, obviously, of the Beatles and then of Wings, because Wings was a completely separate band from the Beatles and had their own incredible catalog. Doesn't matter. Paul McCartney bridges the gap. Therefore, can't pick both. Can't have both on that. So anyway, there's some of that. All right. So I was talking to you about this. We started to talk a little bit. And by the way, updating the College World Series game going on. Louisville did come back with a 3 spot in the top of the 6th, but now it is Coastal up 9-3 in the bottom of the 6th as the Chanticleers have put a run back on the board as they bat in the bottom half of the 6th inning there. So, yeah, Coastal and looks like they're coasting and may soon wind up in the National Championship Series. Okay. When you mentioned your hope, and I would imagine building excitement for the possibility of the Oklahoma City Thunder winning its first ever NBA championship. I understand that and get that, and my youngest son is also a big Thunder fan, so he'll be all geared up about it and everything. For Game 6 tomorrow night. You ever read the Athletic? You ever get a chance to read the Athletic?
Of course, every day.
Did you read the piece from Michael Sean Duggar today?
Entitled,
As Thunder near NBA title, spurned Sonics fans can't forget what they lost 17 years ago.
There you go.
It's one of those pieces that they did this for a while. I don't think the first 2 Ravens Super Bowl wins, where they go back and visit with the disgruntled Cleveland fans on losing the Browns to Baltimore. The genesis of this even goes on back to when the Colts finally won in Indianapolis, and with Peyton Manning in whatever it was, 2006, I guess it was, and they went to Baltimore and did a big thing on Colts fans who've never gotten over it, and it was their town and their team and their time and all that stuff, and they won back-to-back NFL titles in 58 and 59. Then, of course, won it in 68, only to be shocked by Joe Namath and the Jets in Super Bowl III, and then won a Super Bowl as the Baltimore Colts Super Bowl V when they beat the Cowboys. And so it was their team, but the owner, Robert Irsay, ends up packing up the moving vans literally in the middle of the night and moving them out during a blizzard, during a snowstorm, and driving them to Indianapolis. And a lot of folks have never gotten over it. There's some people that never got over the Dodgers leaving Brooklyn or the Giants leaving New York to go west. It happens when teams lose their franchise. Ask disenfranchised Oilers fans about their team moving to Tennessee and ultimately becoming the Titans. So anyway, it's a pretty lengthy piece about Sonics fans who still have not gotten over Clay Bennett moving the team 2008 and how bad it was. And lest we forget, Kevin Durant won Rookie of the Year playing in Seattle as a member of the Sonics in the 06-07 season. His rookie season was spent as a member of the Seattle Supersonics before the Sonics were moved to Oklahoma City. And there's a lot of in-depth detail about guys like Jack Sikma who played there. Obviously Gary Payton in the 90s version that played the Jordan-led Bulls in the NBA Finals. But if you go old school back to the late 70s with Gus Johnson, with Dennis Johnson, the late Dennis Johnson, who was a great guy, was the first Austin Spurs coach down here when they were the Toros. Great guy, was always accessible and he tragically passed away of a heart attack. But those teams, Vinnie Johnson, the microwave they call him, who had played at Baylor in college, and all of those guys that played on those Seattle teams, the ones that went to the finals in 78 for the first time, lost to the Washington then Bullets, then beat them in a rematch the next year in 79, and then they got to the finals. There was an incredible, I know Mavericks fans will remember, but a lot of other fans won't remember this. There was an amazing series that the Mavericks had with the Sonics the first time Dallas ever made the playoffs in 1984. And it was best of 5 in the first round, and they'd split the first 4 games. Game 5 was due to be at Reunion Arena, but they couldn't play it there because they had the WCT going on, World Championship Tennis, which was a big thing for a time. And my buddy Alex and I were actually working that WCT event, selling shirts and polo shirts and programs and stuff for WCT Tennis. And so they had to play the Mavericks Sonics decisive Game 5 at Moody Coliseum on the SMU campus. Had 9,000. It's been known forever in Dallas as the Moody Madness game. And fans went crazy. And the Mavericks, I think, were down 8 with 52 seconds left and came back and won it. It was an incredible thing there. But the Sonics were a playoff regular. George Karl was the coach when they went to the NBA Finals and lost to the Michael Jordan-led Chicago Bulls. Lenny Wilkins coached the Sonics when they won their one NBA title in 1979. So it goes into a lot of those things and how a lot of fans have never forgotten it. And when in the next round of NBA expansion comes around, it is largely theorized that the two most likely candidates for expansion are Las Vegas and Seattle. And they might rebirth the Sonics again. That might happen again if they come around and add 2 more teams.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Because obviously what happened with Howard Schultz, who, bought the team and then ended up selling the team to owners, to the owner Clay Bennett, who obviously had wanted to move the team, wanted to relocate the team. And, Schultz said, no, they're going to keep it in Seattle. Obviously that wasn't true. And
he was, of course, Mr. Starbucks. And so in that piece, they talk about how they hate Howard Schultz and hate Clay Bennett and all of that kind of stuff.
They knew he was going to move the team.
Yeah.
So there's also a real good podcast too, for those of you who are really interested in it. It's done by The Ringer on the move to Seattle, on the Supersonics and their eventual move to OKC, but also kind of what led to that and how it all started.
Yeah.
Really interesting, 6-episode podcast. It's unfortunate, but it's a reminder that while it is sports, there is a business side and a nasty, ugly business side. But when we do get the next round of expansion, there will be a Las Vegas team that will be half owned by LeBron James, and there will be a Seattle Supersonics team that will be back in the league. So excited for that.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be the case. By the way, there's a group in there that different people will refer to themselves like, look, I'm an irrational fan. They said, but I hope Oklahoma City not only never wins with title, they don't deserve one. They don't deserve a parade. They don't deserve rings. He said, I know that sounds irrational, but that's just how I feel, or something like that. This has nothing to. Oklahoma City fans were happy to get. They were thrilled to get a team. They supported the Hornets really well after the Hornets were temporarily moved there following Katrina. They proved that they could support an NBA franchise, and so they did. And so it's not about Oklahoma City. It's about an ownership group deciding to move them. So like you said, hopefully the Sonics and they said that even if that happens. Like there are several who have said that even if that happens in the next few months and it gets approved, they said how painfully ironic will be if the Thunder has won the title, that our team should have been the one being celebrated. Instead, that group is celebrating a title and we have to start all over from scratch. Does that sound familiar? Browns and Ravens.
Yep.
Because 4 seasons after the Browns left Cleveland for Baltimore, they won the Super Bowl with a lot of those base players that started in Cleveland, had to start from scratch, and they still have never been to a Super Bowl.
And the ironic part of it, too, is you mentioned Hurricane Katrina that forced the, at the time, the New Orleans Hornets to play somewhere else and ended up being OKC. OKC had been lobbying David Stern to bring a team to Oklahoma City. And after all this had happened, Stern had told the mayor or the governor of Oklahoma that, yeah, y'all would be great for a hockey team, but not the NBA. And ultimately, of course, what happened with Howard Schultz and Clay Bennett kind of softened David Stern's stance. But for a while, he did not want a team in OKC, but eventually it kind of unfolded, and here we are. So.
Yeah, he's pleased with it. He was pleased with it to the end. Stern was to the end of his life. But, he was very, very adamant in saying this is a temporary move. When the Hornets moved to Oklahoma City in the aftermath of Katrina, he said that this team will not be staying here permanently. As soon as New Orleans gets back on its feet and had to get a new arena, as soon as they do that, they are going back to New Orleans, which is what they did. All right, we'll be back to wrap up hour number 1 on 13 Under the Zone.
I'm Julian Edelman. That's Rob Gronkowski. And guess what, folks? We're teammates again. and we're going to welcome you guys all to Dudes on Dudes.
Dudes on Dudes.
That sounds a little weird, but that's what this is going to be. Roberto, what's Dudes on Dudes?
Well, I'm a dude. You're a dude, and Dudes on Dudes is our brand new show, and we're going to see who the ultimate dude really is.
The premise of this show is going to be, we're going to highlight players, peers, guys that we played against, legends from the past, and we'll get into the types of dudes. What kind of types of dudes are there, Gronk?
A lot of different types of dudes. We got studs, wizards. We got freaks.
Or dudes.
We got dogs.
We'll break down their games. We'll share some insider stories and determine what kind of dude each of these dudes are. Is Randy Moss a stud or a freak? Is Tom Brady a dog or a dude's dude?
We're gonna find out, Jules. New episodes drop every Thursday during the NFL season.
Subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and X. Go to Apple Podcasts and write a review about dudes that you want us to do.
Listen on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and listen now.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
Hi, we're not here right now, but we'll call you back if you leave your name and number.
If you aren't of the age to remember, the answering machine was a physical audio recorder that plugged into your phone line.
Hi, Dad, this is Aaron.
You couldn't call into it remotely. You had to wait till you got home to check your messages.
America's produced like lots and lots of stuff, just piles of stuff. The fact of the matter is all day long, every day, there are warehouses full of stuff getting just pushed off a cliff. All day, every day.
That's Ian Nagoski, who runs the Canary Records label.
A friend of mine said that what he loves is being the guy standing at the edge of the cliff, waving his arms, going, wait, no, let me look at those first before you throw them away. I think there might be some good stuff in there. I think there might be some stories. I don't think we should throw all those away yet.
We have a season, 10 episodes of stories from that realm, of things that were just barely saved, and in some cases, not saved at all. A bizarre tale of two infamous New Yorkers.
They booby-trapped their home and turned it into a sealed fortress of ephemera.
A missing chapter of American music history.
There hasn't been a guess culturally that they matter. So they get thrown in the garbage.
A decade's worth of original television lost to the airwaves.
It's over. It's ephemeral. You're going to see something else the next second and nobody's ever going to see it.
A piece of music that's defied convention for 70 years.
I had students write down the sounds they heard during it, and one girl said, I never realized there was so much to listen to.
And what could only be called an audio mystery.
It said nothing on it, and it clearly had been recorded, which intrigued me. What is this going to be?
These stories and more give a new life, if only for a glimpse. Is this podcast a piece of ephemera in the making? A forgotten story about forgotten stories? Only time will tell. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and learn more at ephemeral.show.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
Sports Radio 1300 The Zone, KVET AM Austin. Your home for the Horns. Make us the #1 preset in your car and on the free new and improved iHeartRadio app. Free never sounded so good.
There we go. All right. Hey, next hour of the program is coming up, and more on the NBA Finals, but also some baseball notes to get to as well. You were yesterday. You were talking about me as a Dodger fan being excited about whatever Shohei Ohtani going to the mound. Things got a little nasty, a little chippy between the Dodgers and Padres last night, and they have 2 more games to play in this series. They have a 4-game series there. Also, Rafael Devers making an impact at his new home, and it's funny though the schedule has a way of having its own sense of humor. We'll get to that coming up. And, of course, we'll take more of your questions, your thoughts, your comments on the text line. Just text the word Texas followed by your question or comment to 81530. Standard messaging and data rates may apply. This is 1300.
For the 4th time in 5 years, the Texas Longhorns have won the Directors' Cup.
Texas wins the national championship. The Longhorns are on top of the college softball world.
From the courts to the field, Texas has dominated the nation.
Texas is going to the Final Four. The Texas women are headed for the Final Four.
1300 The Zone, the home of the Texas Longhorns. Hook 'em.
Have you been out to Tony C's Pizza and Beer Garden? They do fantastic New York-style pizza and authentic Italian cuisine. They've recently opened a location down south in Kyle at Kohler's Crossing. And, of course, I enjoy stopping at the Anderson Lane at Shoal Creek location and the one closest to me in Round Rock, right by Del Diamond, where Linda and I enjoyed a great meal on 2 for Tuesday. That's when you get to enjoy 2 pizzas for the price of 1. Had to have my personal favorite. That's the Primo, which is pepperoni, Italian sausage, roasted red peppers, sauteed mushrooms, caramelized onions, and black olives. But they also feature a pizza of the month. And this month, it's the Quattro Formaggi with pizza sauce, mozzarella, fettuccine, gorgonzola, and Parmesan. 4 great cheeses. Tony C's features happy hour from 3 to 6 Monday through Friday with $2 off 22-ounce drafts, frosé, Bellinis, and wine by the glass. And don't forget about Pitcher Perfect Thursdays with half-off pitchers of beer all day. In Kyle at Kohler's Crossing, Round Rock in front of Del Diamond, and Anderson Lane at Shoal Creek. It's Tony C's Pizza and Beer Garden.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out?
It's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
Doug. Here we have the Limu Emu in its natural habitat, helping people customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Fascinating. It's accompanied by his natural ally, Doug.
Limu, is that guy with the binoculars watching us?
Cut the camera. They see us.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
He's coming. Here he goes.
Surprise! Your table saw broke. Also, the warranty expired weeks ago, so you need to pay for a new one out of pocket.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Oh, and the replacement part you ordered doesn't fit, so it's completely useless. What a waste.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
For more than 75 years, University of Maryland Global Campus has given you the opportunity to build your next success. Choose from more than 135 degree and certificate programs in career-relevant fields like business, healthcare, data analytics, cybersecurity, and more. Plus, we offer 100% online and hybrid courses, personalized advising, and lifetime career services. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
This is Mark Henry, the world's strongest man. Discover the true taste of Texas at Mom's Food, Smokehouse, and Delicatessen, where everything is handcrafted in-house, from the mustard to the bacon. Proudly featured in the inaugural Michelin Guide of Texas, they source the finest products from local producers. Visit us at 5811 Manor Road, Austin, Texas, or find them at your favorite farmer's market. Pre-order their barbecue today. Don't you keep the best delicatessen in Austin a secret. Tell them Mark Henry sent you.
It's time to warm up that scoreboard and get ready to bring home the win with Specs. Specs has you covered with lower prices on all your favorite fan fuel. From craft beer, rare spirits, and world-class wine to chips, dips, and gourmet finer foods. And with same-day delivery when you order online or through the app, Specs is your MVP for the biggest score of the game. At Specs, the fun starts here.
Here's to you, cheers to savings.
Get the Apple Leasing Advantage today. Visit appleleasing.com. That's appleleasing.com.
Find your iHeartRadio everywhere. There are hundreds of ways to experience iHeartRadio at home and on the go, beyond the iPhone and Android app and at iHeartRadio.com. Here's another way to connect to iHeartRadio. Apple CarPlay. Our iOS app comes alive in your car's dashboard with a seamless way to play your favorite music, radio stations, and podcasts. Developed with driver safety in mind, the Apple CarPlay interface was built for simple navigation and to limit driver distraction while making sure you can still access all your favorite content from iHeartRadio. No need to download another app. Just plug or pair your iPhone with your dash, and if CarPlay is available in your vehicle, iHeartRadio will sync automatically. iHeartRadio, everywhere you want to listen, including in your car through Apple CarPlay. Check it out for free now. iHeartRadio, anywhere you want to listen, iHeartRadio is there.
Sports Radio 1300 The Zone, KVET AM Austin. Your home for the Horns. Make us the #1 preset in your car and on the free new and improved iHeartRadio app. Free never sounded so good.
iHeartRadio presents Stuff You Should Know.
We're talking about streaming music, world-changing history that we lived through.
Not so long ago, people were spending a lot of money on buying CDs and physical media. We got this new thing. That was Napster. There were 27 billion transfers per month, song transfers.
Everything was completely upended, and Apple came along in 2003 and brought massive stability to this huge sea change. At the same time, roughly, an alternative model was developing, and that was just streaming.
The first legit on-demand streaming service was Rhapsody in 2001. Pandora came along in 2005. Spotify comes along. They changed the game. Pandora was still trying to be kind of like radio in a way. Spotify was like, no, we're really going to be on demand. But these royalties, Tidal pays the most at 1.3 cents. Apple's 0.7, YouTube Music 0.7. Spotify pays 0.4 cents per stream, same as Amazon, and then Pandora's down to 0.1. But as an artist, if you're a hit on Spotify, then there's a lot of money to be made.
For the entire history of streaming music episode and everything else in the Stuff You Should Know universe, open the free iHeart app, search Stuff, and listen now. iHeartRadio presents Stuff You Should Know.
What's the Doomsday Clock, Josh?
So the Doomsday Clock is a metaphorical clock that is overseen by the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. It's a graphic representation of how close humanity is to self-inflicted disaster.
They moved the second hand on the clock forward to 89 seconds to midnight, which means it's the closest that clock has ever been to midnight since they started.
In 1947, when the U.S. and Russia were starting the Cold War, it was 7 minutes to midnight. We're now less than 2 minutes away from midnight. The furthest away it was from midnight was 1991, after the Soviet Union dissolved. It was all the way back from 17 minutes to midnight.
I think it's a valuable thing because it just raises awareness every year with people. Just another thing to kind of say, hey, like, we're not headed in the right direction as humanity goes.
All these things that have been developing for a while have been accelerated because of the threat multiplier of misinformation and disinformation and conspiracy theories.
For the entire Doomsday Clock episode and everything else in the Stuff You Should Know universe, open the free iHeart app, search Stuff, and listen now.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
On September 16th, 1961, Betty and Barney Hill cut their vacation short and decided to drive home.
They were having difficulty finding their way around the city, and Barney decided he just wanted to drive home, knowing that they would arrive at their home on New Hampshire's seacoast at about 2 o'clock in the morning.
What they saw that night in the New Hampshire sky would change everything.
I began walking across the highway, looking up at the object with the binoculars, putting them down, shaking my head, saying, well, this just can't be true. I don't believe it.
A light in the sky.
At first, she thought of a falling star, but she realized that falling stars don't fall upwards, and that's what this one was doing.
2 years later, the hills would undergo hypnosis.
He's trying to start the car, and it won't start. And the medic coming to us, and I think, well, I can't get away from this. If I get the car door open, I can run in the woods and hide.
That became known the world over.
Dr. Simon gave me a post-hypnotic suggestion. He said if I wanted to, I could sketch the star map. But if I didn't want to, I didn't have to. So about 2 weeks later, I sketched it.
Their account has been scrutinized.
Under the influence of hypnosis, especially if you're highly hypnotizable, you are even more susceptible to contamination and distortion.
By scientists, skeptics, theorists, and believers.
He wound up building a total of more than 20 three-dimensional models and was able to find one and only one pattern that matched what Betty had drawn.
What happened on that night journey in 1961? Were the Hills confused about what they saw, or did they have an encounter with beings not of this world? From iHeartRadio and Aaron Mahnke's Grim and Mild, this is Strange Arrivals.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts all in one.
Sports Radio 1300 The Zone. We cover all 40 acres.
Third and final hour. Today, it's the second and final hour of the program. We brought you the Round Rock Express game in the first hour that went into the first hour of the program. The Express falling to Oklahoma City as they lost to the Comets. 15-1 was that final score. They'll be back at it tomorrow night. I think it's a 6-game series that they're playing in OKC at the Chickasaw Bricktown Ballpark. Craig Way alongside the producer, Cameron Parker, who called some Express games, filling in last year at the Chickasaw Bricktown Ballpark in Oklahoma City. That's how you became acquainted with Nick's Grill.
Yes, that was. Yeah. Nick's Grill. That was also when Texas was playing Oklahoma in the Women's College World Series.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I went to the semifinal game where I saw Texas defeat Stanford 1-0, where Najee Kennedy was still the pitcher for Stanford. Texas won that game 1-0. That was a fun atmosphere. And then the last two games weren't so fun. And I distinctly remember when Oklahoma clinched the Women's College World Series, I was on the air and Boomer Sooner chant broke out at Chickasaw Breakdown Ballpark.
Okay.
And I wasn't very thrilled with that, but you got to be professional, right? So
if the Comets were at home when the Longhorns won last week, I doubt there was chance of Texas are coming up across that ballpark there at the day. There were plenty of times in the past when the Big 12 tournament was there when that happened. Texas won it there in 2003, beating Baylor in a walk-off in the bottom of the 10th, a 2-run homer from Curtis Thigpen, the runner who was on base at the time for Texas in that game. Great trivia question. Houston Street.
Oh, really?
Was on there, yeah. He was on there. He played some third base in addition to when he was on the mound. And they won there in 2003. They won again there in 2008 and 9, back-to-back. In 2008, that was the story we were telling last week about Keith Moreland and I on our way to the airport, and we got a call saying because it was pool play and the unexpected had happened in the pool thing and the tie breaks, and we should come back. So we did. And Texas won that one. Brandon Belt was the outstanding player of that tournament when they beat Kansas State 15-7 in the final. And then the next year in 2009, they beat Missouri. That was actually the year of the turnaround and come back because it was Missouri that was getting in there by beating Texas A&M. So I think it was Brandon Loy who was the outstanding player in that tournament for Texas. And then, of course, they won it in Tulsa in 2015 to get in there. Texas, I think, had the most Big 12 Conference Tournament championships. That may have since been surpassed or equal by maybe TCU or Oklahoma State. I'm not sure. But they won it in 2002 in Arlington when they had it at what is now known as Choctaw Stadium. It was the old Rangers ballpark in Arlington. That the year they went on and won the national championship. They won it in 2002. They won it in 2003 in Oklahoma City. They won it in 2008 and 2009 in Oklahoma City and 2015 in Tulsa. They won it 5 times. So they definitely had the run there. Speaking of postseason baseball, College World Series now down to they're at the level what's called the bracket championships because they're down to their Final Four. So if you're thinking of Final Four in basketball this year, who was in the Final Four? Florida, Auburn, Duke. Who am I leaving out? Who did Duke beat in the other semifinal? Houston. Florida, Auburn, Duke, and Houston. And Florida won the national championship over Duke. That was in basketball. Football, Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame. And then who was the fourth?
Georgia, right?
No, Notre Dame beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl.
So Penn State?
Yeah, it was. Because Penn State had beaten SMU, I guess it was. So yeah. Anyway, so that was in the Final Four for college football. And Texas has been in the Final Four the past 2 years. It was Notre Dame and Penn State, pretty sure, right? And then Penn State won, and then
because Notre Dame beat Georgia.
Yep.
And then Penn State had beat Boise State.
That's it.
Ashton
After
Jeffrey
they
had
beaten
1
SMU.
yard. Yep.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame beat Penn State.
Yeah.
Because that was when Drew Aller threw that real bad interception to kind of ice the game for Notre Dame. And then, of course, we know what happened on the Texas side. We don't have to rehash that. We're good there. All right. We're good.
So anyway, that was your Final Four in football. Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, Penn State.
And, it's the basketball side, all 1 seeds, right, for the first time since.
Yeah, I think it only happened. It's only happened a couple of times.
Yeah.
That all ones made it.
On the football side, and of course, this will be completely different now that the formats change versus where it'll be the top 4 teams with the top 4 seeds versus the top 4 conference champions.
Mm-hmm.
The lowest seed was Texas at 5. Ohio State was an 8 seed. Penn State a 6. Notre Dame a 7. So the 1 seed lost Oregon. The 2 seed lost Georgia. Of course, they didn't have Carson Beck.
Right.
Boise State, the 3 seed loss, and then Arizona State.
And you say it in inverse. Texas was the highest seed remaining at number 5.
Lowest seed. Yeah.
All right. And so your Final Four for baseball, college baseball, your Final Four are Coastal Carolina, Louisville, LSU, and Arkansas. Now, I think most folks probably would have guessed LSU and Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a few that had a lot of wisdom about Coastal Carolina. Our friend Ty Harrington among those, who's been really riding high on the Chanticleers, might have been able to pick that. Nobody would have picked Louisville. Do you realize yesterday when Louisville eliminated Oregon State, that was only their 42nd win of the year?
That's crazy to think about.
Texas won 44 games and got eliminated at the regional level. Not only that, you would think that teams in the College World Series, especially ones that reach the semifinal round, are going to be at least 25, close to 30 wins over 500 at least. Texas wound up 30 over 500, 44-14. You would think it would be that. They're 19 above 500. They're 42-23. They're going to finish 42-24 because right now in the 8th inning, it is 10-3 Coastal Carolina. But Louisville got hot at the right time, and they wound up getting all the way into the Final Four. Tonight, LSU will play Arkansas. If LSU wins, it'll be LSU against Coastal Carolina. Again, I'm assuming Coastal's going to hold on. They're up 10-3 in the 8th inning. But tonight, LSU and Arkansas. If Arkansas wins, those two have to play one more time tomorrow. I'm sure Coastal's hoping for whoever they play, they have to play one more time tomorrow. Use some more of that pitching. Because LSU, like Coastal's, only going into its 3rd starting pitcher right now. All right, we've got more coming up here on 13 Under the Zone.
Wake up with Harge and Henry in the morning kickoff.
I cannot believe that you and I are seeing things exactly the same.
It's a miracle.
Oh, my God. Hey,
Marcus,
write it down.
It's a miracle that we are having this discussion, and we are agreeing. Air high fives.
Yeah.
The morning kickoff, weekdays at 7, 1300 The Zone.
Here's this week's iHeartRadio countdown of the top TV streams.
Here's what you've made popular by getting your stream on. Starting us off this week is our former number one, The Last of Us on HBO and Max. That's followed by Poker Face on Peacock. Debuting at 8 this week is the Australian drama on Netflix, The Survivors. Murderbot on Apple TV Plus slips back to number 7, with Guy Ritchie's Mobland on Paramount Plus slipping to 6 this week. Arriving at 5 is the 4th season of Resident Alien over on Peacock, with Sirens on Netflix falling out of the top 3 to 4 this week. Kicking off the top 3 for the second straight week is the Amazon Prime Video drama The Better Sister, starring Jessica Biel and Elizabeth Banks. The new Apple TV Plus golf dramedy Stick, starring Owen Wilson, leaps up to number 2. And holding on to the top spot for week number 2 is the new Netflix crime drama Department Q, starring Matthew Good, your number 1 stream show.
And those are your top TV streams of the week on iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio presents Stuff You Should Know.
We're talking about peacocks.
A peacock is specifically the male. The peahen is the female. They are not native to the United States, although they thrive in coastal, warmish areas.
So when you see that thing fully displayed, when that peacock wants to have a little good time with a peahen, that thing may go 5 to 7 feet in every direction.
That's the whole point of those feathers. Again, the peacocks will use it to try to ward off or intimidate trespassers in their territory, but for the most part, the whole thing is to impress the peahens.
And they will shake those feathers, and the shaking isn't just like, hey, look how pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Science has discovered semi-recently those vibrations are in lockstep with the peafowl's head feathers that they used to think were just for show, but now they realize they vibrate at the same intensity and that they can actually, sort of feel when those tail feathers are vibrating in their direction through their head feathers.
For the entire Peacock episode and everything else in the Stuff You Should Know universe, open the free iHeart app, search Stuff, and listen now.
The free iHeartRadio app is number 1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
Hello, listeners. It is with pleasure that I come into your home today, for I know those listening to me now are interested in helping people.
April Bellaccio was 3 years old when her father, Edward Wayne Edwards, recorded this motivational record, selling himself to the world as a reformed criminal.
My life has certainly been anything but good. Exciting, yes. Dangerous, yes. Honest, no.
She was 12 when he came home late one night.
He was muddy, dirty, and he had a bloody nose, a cut on his nose.
I decided that I would put every effort into my rehabilitation program that I had put previously into my career of crime.
As she got older, April began to wonder, why would her father disappear for days at a time? Why were they always packing up and moving in the middle of the night?
Everywhere I went, there was people that we knew or associated with that were being murdered.
The double homicide in one rural community has puzzled investigators for nearly 30 years.
And as I was reading the case, it all rang true. I mean, I remembered everything.
April was 40 when she called the police and turned her dad in.
I love my children very much. Things in our home are never taken for granted.
This is a story about murder and family.
Are you going to keep all these records about yourself and give them to April?
I'm going to tell April everything there is to know about me.
It's a true crime story that's also about our obsession with true crime and the mythic monsters we create.
I believe that my dad was consumed with the Zodiac, but I can look you in the eye and tell you he did not kill John Bonet.
I know, nobody likes that one.
The Clearing from Pineapple Street Media.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts all in one.
I'm John Walzak, host of the new podcast, Missing in Arizona.
And I'm Robert Fisher, one of the most wanted men in the world.
We cloned his voice using AI. In 2001,
police say I killed my family.
3 dead bodies, 2 were children.
He slit the throat of all of them.
First mom, then the kids.
And rigged my house to explode.
In a quiet suburb.
This is the Beverly Hills of the valley.
Some house just exploded and ignited on fire.
Before escaping into the wilderness.
Leading police on a massive manhunt in rugged terrain.
There was sleet and hail and snow coming down.
It was the biggest manhunt in Arizona history.
They found my wife's SUV.
Within 50 feet was a cave.
You could be buried under rockfall, and you cut a skeleton leaning up against the wall.
And my dog flew.
All I could think of is seeing the sniper me out of some tree.
But not me.
Police believe he is alive and hiding somewhere.
Can you disappear and change your name and work for cash? Yeah, you can.
Fisher is still very much a priority with the FBI. He's on the 10 most wanted list.
Listen to Missing in Arizona.
Listen on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and listen now.
Hurricane Eric is in the eastern Pacific and rapidly intensifying as parts of southern Mexico brace for flooding rain, damaging winds, and storms. And there is a surging heat wave for millions in the central and eastern United States. Record highs may be broken from the central Rockies to the plains and Midwest. From Oklahoma City to Denver to Rapid City, it's hot. Meteorologists saying even Detroit could hit 90 degrees next week for a stretch of 7 days or more. Early next week, the extra hot temps hitting the Great Lakes, the Central Appalachians, the Mid-Atlantic, and New England. Starting on Monday, New York City could have 5 consecutive days with high temperatures of 90 degrees or greater. Everyone's urged to take it easy, stay hydrated, and keep close tabs on young kids and the elderly. We've got flash flooding possible in eastern Oklahoma and western Arkansas, and a red flag warning remains in effect for most of Utah from St. George all the way up to Brigham City. And a critical fire weather warning has been issued for the area of Reno, Nevada. That's your national forecast. I'm Monica Nelson.
iHeart is America's #1 podcast network. Open the free iHeart app and explore podcasts like this.
When 60 Minutes premiered in September 1968, there was nothing like it.
We realize, of course, that new approaches are not always instantly accepted.
I'm Seth Doan of CBS News, and I'm excited to introduce a new podcast from 60 Minutes called A Second Look. The team at 60 Minutes has spent the last year digging through thousands of tapes, transcripts, and reels of film. And you're about to hear some of the sound that was never broadcast, like 21-year-old Taylor Swift imagining her future success.
Sometimes I get really overwhelmed when I think about, 10 years from now, I'll be 30. What's the sound then? What are the choices I've made at that point? Oh my God, what does my life look like?
Then there are the people you may not recognize by name, but who witnessed some of the most important events in modern history. Along the way, I'll speak with some of the legendary correspondents who reported the stories, as well as those whose lives were altered after sitting down with 60. Together, we'll hear how much our world has changed.
You're working in borrowed time. You're not just saying that to scare us.
And how it hasn't.
You were either for the books or against the books. And it was almost like a civil war.
You can really draw a bright red line from 74 to 2024.
It's time for A Second Look.
Listen on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and listen now.
Call you, you ain't in. What's this cold reaction? Where you been?
Back here on the Yacht Rock Wednesday on 13 Under the Zone, the great Boz Skaggs from Plano, Texas, USA. The breakdown dead ahead there on a Yacht Rock Wednesday. He's back on tour now. This guy that Lynn and I saw him 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and he was 79 then, but he's back on tour. A lot of those guys are as well. Updating the College World Series game. Coastal Carolina is coasting. They lead Louisville 11-3 in the bottom of the eighth inning. And so the Chanticleer is about to qualify for their second national championship appearance. Back in 2016, 9 years ago, they won the whole thing, won the title, beat Arizona to win that national title, and they're going to be back in there. They are a seeded team. It's just they were seeded 13th nationally. And there were a lot of folks who thought they were underseeded. Kyle Peterson among them. He thought that Coastal and Oregon State would be the main combatants, if you will, for the number 8 or number 9 national seed. Well, Oregon State got the 8, but Florida State was given the 9. Coastal was the 13. So Coastal wins its regional. Then they go to Auburn to play the 4 seed. They sweep Auburn now and then go into Omaha, and they have not dropped a game in Omaha, and it doesn't look like they're going to drop one going into the national championship. They're up 11-3 in the bottom of the 8th. There was an interesting graphic that ESPN had up just a few minutes ago, and it was longest win streak for teams entering the championship round of the Men's College World Series. The longest win streak. Now, this goes all the way back to the very, let's see, was it the first? It was the second year of the tournament. That the College World Series started in 1947. In 48, USC won one of its 12 national championships. They went into the championship round with an 18-game winning streak. In 1995, Cal State Fullerton, coached by Augie Garrido, went in with a 17-game winning streak and ended up winning it. In 2001, Miami went in with a 16-game winning streak. They won it. And in 1965, Arizona State went into it with a 16-game winning streak. Coastal Carolina is about to have a 26-game winning streak going into the national championship round. A 26-game winning streak. I'm not saying they're going to win it because I've said all along, people asked me who I thought was the best team that was when the 8 teams arrived, who I thought was the best team there. And I said it was either going to be Arkansas or LSU. Arkansas looked like the most complete team. I thought LSU had better pitching. Both teams could really clobber the ball. I said those 2 teams are the best teams. Maybe Arkansas is the best, whatever. But I knew Coastal was good. And like I said, Ty Harrington talked about them throughout the course of the season, said they're really, really good. And they're proving it. So now they're going to the bottom of the 9th, and the Chanticleers are 3 outs away from winding up in the national championship game. They are that close to winning this thing now. And as always, like I say, we're happy to welcome your questions, your thoughts, your comments on the text line. So he said, I still have my Gus Williams poster in my locker on G Hall. Gus Williams played for the Sonics. Sonics won that title in 1979. That franchise, as we know it, is going for its first NBA world title since 1979. Tomorrow night, when the now reconstituted Oklahoma City Thunder will try to wrap up the NBA Finals in 6 games against the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers have never won an NBA title either, and they're trying to become the first team in pro basketball history. It's important to make this delineation to really make sure folks understand what I'm talking about here. They're trying to become the first team to win a world championship, so to speak, or at least a title in the ABA and one in the NBA. And before you jump to the conclusion, wait, what about the Spurs? Spurs never won an ABA title. Now, the Spurs were only in the league because they were the Dallas Chaparrals. They were the ancestral franchise of the San Antonio Spurs was the Dallas Chaparrals that played at the old Dallas Memorial Auditorium downtown. That's where I worked the Kiss concert. We were talking about Kiss the other day, Cam. And that's also where the Beatles played in 1965. But they also played at Moody Coliseum on the SMU campus. They had 1 year where they were called the Texas Chaparrals. They played some games in Fort Worth at the old Tarrant County Convention Center Arena, even played some games in Lubbock. But they were mainly the Dallas Chaparrals. They were a charter member franchise of the ABA. But in 1972, 73, no, 73, the 73-74 season was their first year in San Antonio. And they never won an ABA title because they were only in the ABA 73, 74, 75, 76. I guess 4 seasons, I guess it was it. And they were maybe only 3 seasons. But anyway, they were only in the ABA for like 3 seasons, never won an ABA title. Obviously, you've won 4 NBA titles. The Denver Nuggets won an NBA title 2 years ago. They never won an ABA title. The Nets, who won ABA titles, have never won an NBA title. They got in the finals that one time when they had Jason Kidd and lost in the finals to the Lakers. And you have the Indiana Pacers, who won more ABA titles than any other franchise. I think they won 4. They've never won an NBA title, but their backs are to the wall. They have to win tonight to get it to a 7th game back in Oklahoma City on Sunday. But again, that's tomorrow night. We'll have more breakdown on that coming up. We'll continue on 13 Under the Zone.
Do you ever feel like when you're talking, nobody is listening? Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone will listen to you. What is on your mind? Go! All you have to do is use the iHeartRadio app talkback feature when listening to AM 1300 The Zone.
Yo, hello, it's me. Enjoy the show.
We will get your message instantly, and we promise to listen to it.
Our iHeartRadio Music Festival,
Presented by Capital One,
is coming back to Las Vegas.
September 19th and 20th, streaming live only on Hulu.
And you can be there.
For a weekend full of superstar performances, never-before-seen collaborations, and once-in-a-lifetime artist moments you'll have to see to believe. Tickets are on sale now at AXS.com. Get your tickets today at AXS.com. And we'll see you at our 2025 iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Presented by Capital One.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
After 48 years, Factory Mattress is going out of business forever. Over $15 million worth of world-class mattress brands must be sold immediately. Up to 80% off at Austin and San Antonio's largest independent mattress retailer. Everything must go, right down to the bare walls. Tempur-Pedic, Sealy, and Stearns & Foster. No interest financing is still available. The Factory Mattress going out of business sale is happening now at all 14 locations. Don't miss it.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the GPS directions first, before driving to the mall.
Turn right at the light. In 1,000 miles, you will reach Montreal.
Not Montreal, the mall.
Recalculating. 6,000 miles to Nepal.
No, the mall.
Checking first is smart.
Recalculating.
So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-888-5226. 800-888-5226. 800-888-5226.
At Henna Chevrolet, the price we agree on is the exact price you'll pay.
I was at a Chevy dealer recently, found the car I wanted, agreed on a price, and made it all the way to the financing table. Before they mentioned the $2,500 mandatory dealer package they added. Mandatory, as in they refused to remove it. So I left and went to Henna.
For straightforward, all-inclusive pricing, come in and together let's drive at Henna Chevrolet or Henna.com.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Serving in the military requires great sacrifices, not just for one's country, but also for one's family. Not surprisingly, divorce for soldiers is especially difficult, and it raises a number of challenges that are peculiar to military divorce, things such as deployments, relocation, retirement benefits. These issues can be complicated. So if you're a soldier facing such challenges, go to CordellCordell.com.
Austin, San Antonio, and St. Louis. CordellCordell.com.
From the Odoo.com Traffic Center. Odoo.com, the only business software you will need.
Your slow traffic on Mopac is southbound between 35th and Barton Skyway, adds 8 minutes to your drive. Looking better over at South First, just south of W. William Cannon Drive. They just cleared that accident. They also cleared the debris off of Mopac northbound at Stack. Still just a little bit slow from Anderson Lane. We do have an accident, right lane blocked, 35 northbound before 1327. I'm Kat Cortez with your Austin area traffic.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you want the lowest price. With their lowest price guarantee, if you find a qualifying lower price on the same item, they'll match it. Price match applies to same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how they'll match price at Lowe's.com/lowest price guarantee.
From the ABA Heating and Cooling Weather Center, this is Zone Weather.
Austin area weather calling for a few afternoon clouds today, a high of 96. Partly cloudy this evening, becoming cloudy after midnight, a low of 76.
This report is sponsored by Payday. Hardworking people need a hardworking candy bar. Packed with peanuts and filled with golden caramel, Payday is definitely working hard for you. So grab one now to power you through the day. Payday Peanut Caramel Bar. Get to it.
Craig Way here, and no matter who you listen to on the air and no matter which team you root for, we can all agree in recommending Dr. Greg Eckert as your dentist. Dr. Eckert has been serving the Austin area for 30 years now. He's been my dentist for more than a decade. Greg Eckert and his staff will show you what your situation is, and they'll tell you what they can do to help so that you can make the informed decision about your dental health care needs. Give Dr. Eckert a call today at 512-345-3166. They're open on Fridays if that works for you. 512-345-3166 for Dr. Greg Eckert.
It's time to warm up that scoreboard and get ready to bring home the win with Specs. Specs has you covered with lower prices on all your favorite fan fuel. From craft beer, rare spirits, and world-class wine to chips, dips, and gourmet finer foods. And with same-day delivery when you order online or through the app, Specs is your MVP for the biggest score of the game. At Specs, the fun starts here.
Here's to you, shout. Cheers to savings.
Here we have the Limu Emu in its natural habitat, helping people customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Fascinating. It's accompanied by his natural ally, Doug.
Limu, is that guy with the binoculars watching us?
Cut the camera. They see us.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Hey, Texas sports fans. Thomas J. Henry Law is thrilled to be part of UT Athletics action on and off season. Just like the athletes give it their all on the field, whether it's during practice or in the heat of the game, Thomas J. Henry Law and over 250 attorneys give it their all when it comes to helping you and your family get the justice you deserve. Whether it's on the court or in the courtroom, dedication, strategy, and teamwork are crucial. For over 30 years, Thomas J. Henry Law has been committed to securing meaningful results for the injured people and their families. Visit tjhlaw.com or call 24/7 to get the help you need.
I love my wife, but like most couples, we had different sleeping needs. One of us likes it warm, and the other prefers to stay cool. You can probably guess who's who. About 15 years ago, I set out on a mission to find the perfect fabric to keep us both comfortable. I found it in viscose from bamboo. I'm Tyler, founder of Cozy Earth. Cozy Earth offers the softest, most comfortable sheets, towels, PJs, joggers, and more. Our premium bamboo viscose fabric is incredibly soft, breathable, and moisture wicking, helping regulate body temperatures so you stay comfortable all day and night. Unbelievably cozy, ethically sourced, and designed to add a touch of luxury to your home. I believe so strongly that our sheets will turn your bed into a sanctuary that if you sleep in our sheets for 100 nights and don't absolutely love your experience, we will refund your money, no questions asked. I'm so confident that you'll love Cozy Earth that I guarantee it. It truly is the gift that keeps on giving.
Go to CozyEarth.com and use code CozyComfort to save up to 40%. That's CozyEarth.com. Code CozyComfort.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
iHeartRadio's got you covered for the summer. Sail on with commercial-free weekends on Yacht Rock Radio. Roll down the windows for road trips with summer playlists like Summer Classics. Or just escape into a podcast. Your summer soundtrack is already in your pocket with the free iHeartRadio app. Find your next summer preset now.
iHeartRadio. Jill, why didn't you tell the class what you did this weekend?
Well, my dad and I went in search of some magical minnows and found a zillion of them in the stream from our lookout rock. Then my sister and I escaped from an evil slug king and went back to my super twig fort for safety. Then we told stories till it got dark, and the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Where were you, Jill?
We went to the forest. It's not that far away.
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad
Wake
Council.
up with Harge and Henry in the morning kickoff.
I'm gonna go here sounding like Darth Vader. I'm going Lou Rawls. Lou Rawls? Lou Rawls. Come on, man. Don't blow my head up. I'm walking bow-legged now. You shouldn't have never told me that. Never. That's what it's all about right there. Don't never mind a hairline like mine.
Weekdays at 7, 1300 The Zone.
For those of you who prefer the pre-Michael McDonald Doobie Brothers to the Michael McDonald infused Doobies, there you go, a long train running. For those who are more inclined to the Tom Johnston and Pat Simmons, era, I get you. That the nice thing is that they tour together now, and that McDonald's back with, because he is, after all, truly the godfather of yacht rock. In fact, you could make the case that particular incarnation of Doobie Brothers really isn't yacht rock. It's more rock than yacht rock, but that's okay. It all gets melded in together.
I have a quick, funny little story for you here, Craig.
Yeah.
So this week is the Travelers Championship, right? The final signature event of the PGA Tour before they get ready for the Open Championship and the PGA Tour playoff. Anyway, this past weekend, obviously, JJ Spawn with an incredible victory at Oakmont. A couple Longhorns in the field that were, Scotty Scheffler, Jordan Spieth playing on Sunday. Well, I guess the Spieth and Schefflers were staying together, and we're going to stay together at Oakmont, and then I guess in Cromwell, Connecticut for the Travelers this week. So
just outside Hartford.
Spieth finished his round before the rain delay. Got in actually, I think, like maybe 15, 20 minutes right before the air horn sounded. So, and Scotty Scheffler was still playing on the front nine. So Spieth and Greller decided, you know what? let's watch the final round. Where did they go? Buffalo Wild Wings. And Spieth said, I don't usually drink after a round, especially when I'm getting ready to play the next day. But after the Sunday, the U.S. Open, I needed to knock back a few beers. So he did that and watched.
They went to B-dubs.
Went to B-dubs and watched the final round from undisclosed B-dubs in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So, or maybe outside of Pittsburgh. So if you were up there and you thought you saw Jordan Spieth and Michael Greller at a B-dubs drinking some Mick Ultras, then there you go. You did.
I thought you were going to say that they went back to the house that they were sharing with the Schefflers, and then after Scotty got down, he came in and said, "Hey, who ate the last part of the ham there for the ham sandwich? Who took the last piece of coconut cream pie," or something like that? I thought you were going to say something like that. We've been talking a lot about the NBA today, and we all know that the NBA TV contract is changing. The Eastern Conference Finals were the last ones on TNT for the foreseeable future, really. Inside the NBA is moving to ESPN next season, but there are some who say that it won't be quite the same as the way you've become used to seeing it. That part we know. And we know, obviously, that the NBA signed these 11-year contracts with Disney, Amazon, and NBC. And it's worth a total of $75 billion. $75 billion with Disney, Amazon, and NBC. And that next year, the NBA will have 2 new viewing homes, larger presence on broadcast television, is reported in the Athletic today, and the option to stream any nationally televised game. So that's a good thing. It'll represent, according to the article, a profound adjustment in how fans can watch games. Now, I knew all that. Well, I didn't know about the streaming, but I knew a lot of the other stuff. What I did not know, maybe I just flat missed it and glossed over. You tell me if you knew this, Cam. This postseason was the last time that local regional sports networks are able to broadcast the first round of the playoffs.
I don't think I knew that.
Next year, every round is nationally televised. Every game of every round is nationally televised. So for those of you who enjoyed watching the Spurs, well, if they get back to the playoffs, when the day comes, you won't see them on a regional network. For those of you who enjoyed watching Mark Followill on the Mavericks telecast, you will not see them doing TV. For those of you, who's the Thunder TV play-by-play? It's a young guy they brought in.
Yeah,
right?
It used to be Brian Davis.
Yeah, and they got rid of him because of his faux pas. Forgot who he is. But Jason Wade, he likes him. He thinks he's better than Brian Davis. I don't know.
Chris Fisher.
All right. Those of you who saw Chris Fisher or whatever, you're not going to get to see him when they get to the playoffs. Every round of the playoffs will be nationally televised. Now, that's kind of a good thing, really, because you might not have been able to see, if you wanted, a first round game between Atlanta and Orlando, or the Clippers and the Jazz, or something like that, unless you had maybe the NBA TV package, or if you had, and I've had the NBA TV package. I don't even know if I got those first round playoff games, NBA TV kind of cherry picks and things like that. Now, every game will be available. So I guess that's a good thing. But if you're used to your hometown announcer doing that, it's not going to happen. It just won't happen. Of course, I was used to it in calling Longhorn football games on the radio. That the way it was kind of an inverse when they got to the semifinals and they did what was called the hometown broadcast, whatever, and put our broadcast on. So that was a nice thing. But of course, Texas, every game is nationally televised now. Every single one. We'll be back to wrap up the day on 13 Under the Zone.
If you're in the market for a wood fence for your home or business, Viking Fence is the right choice for you. Viking Fence has been in business for over 50 years and takes pride in being the most reliable fence company in Central Texas. Viking Fence does gorgeous work, from simple privacy fences to custom projects. Their quality is unmatched. Viking is the only fence company with their own facility where they custom cut red cedar, the most durable and attractive of fence materials, and offer 3 grades of fence pickets, one for every budget. Compare their lumber against the big box stores. And there is no comparison on quality and price. So whether Viking installs your fence or you're doing it yourself, Viking Fence will ensure your satisfaction. Excellent work, great service, and an honest reputation. Call Viking Fence today at 837-6411 for a free estimate or visit their wood fence galleries at vikingfence.com. When you think fence, think Viking.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Friends, if you live in Austin, Bastrop, Georgetown, Killeen, or Lockhart, and you're tired of paying too much for car insurance, pick up the phone and call Fred Loya Insurance today. Insurance rates are constantly changing, which is why you need to call Fred Loya Insurance right now for a new and updated quote. Call now. Save money. It's that easy. Call Fred Loya Insurance at 1-800-444-4040. That's 1-800-444-4040 or visit fredloya.com. Remember, if you don't call, you don't save.
Hi, Zoe Saldana. Welcome to T-Mobile. Here's your new iPhone 16 Pro on us.
Thanks. And here's my old phone to trade in.
You don't need a trade-in. When you switch to T-Mobile, we'll give you a new iPhone 16 Pro. Plus, we'll help you pay off your old phone up to $800, and you still get to keep it.
There's always a trade-in.
Not right now at T-Mobile.
I feel like I have to give you something in return for karma.
That's okay.
I don't really have much in my purse. Oh, let's see. Hand sanitizer. It's lavender.
I'm good. Seriously.
Let me check this pocket. Oh, mints?
Really, I'm fine.
Oh, I have raisins. I'm a mom. Wait 1 sec. I've got cupcakes in the car.
It's our best iPhone offer ever. Switch to T-Mobile. Get a new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on us. No trade-in needed. We'll even pay off your phone up to $800.
With 24 monthly bill credits, new line $100 plus a month on experience beyond finance agreement $999.99 and qualifying for it. For well qualified plus tax and $10 connection charge. Pay off via virtual prepaid card allow 15 days. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. See T-Mobile.com.
The largest gun show in Central Texas is headed to Buda this weekend. Texas Gun Show is voted the #1 gun show in Texas. Will be at the Central Texas Fieldhouse just off Interstate 35 in Buda this Saturday, 10 till 5 and Sunday, 10 till 4. Hundreds of tables of guns, free parking, and no toll road. Do not miss it. Buy, sell, trade, and exercise your Second Amendment rights this weekend at the Central Texas Fieldhouse in Buda. For more info, visit gunshowstx.com. Texas Gun Shows, making gun shows guns again.
Hi, it's Sandy, and if you're thinking about getting a new car, information is power. So here is some information that can help you. You know, there's talk of tariffs pushing used car prices up. A lot of manufacturers are holding steady or even lowering prices on new vehicles for now. It's a unique situation. It means you could get a great price on a new car and potentially more value for your trade-in. Now, how long this buyer market lasts or where to save the most money really depends on who you talk to and who you trust. Apple Leasing has thousands of active clients on the road right now, and many of them are repeat or were referred customers. You can trust our experts to help you navigate this time and make the best decision for your family. With no money down and lower payments with the Easy Lease, calling now could save you thousands. Call 512-346-9977 or visit online at appleleasing.com. Apple Leasing, the name you trust in Austin.
Sports Radio 1300 The Zone. The Longhorns live here.
Okay, we're getting ready to be done. Hey, the one other thing to mention, we thought the SEC would release the men's basketball home and away conference opponents. The Longhorns' home opponents, defending national champion Florida, of Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt. They will play the Aggies home and home again like they did last year. But they're only playing Arkansas on the road, along with Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, a home and home with Georgia. That was weird. That was kind of one of these things is not like the other. Kentucky, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Tennessee, along with that A&M game. So there you go. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. Thanks so much for hanging with us, and we look forward to visiting with you tomorrow. Cam will be out tomorrow. Mike Harge will be here. We're going to do the music survey in the 3 o'clock hour. We'll look forward to that. Until tomorrow, for Cameron Parker, I'm Craig Way. Thanks for joining us, and we'll visit with you tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock on 13 Under the Zone.